We don't build armies the same way we used to. And we certainly don't play the game the way we used to. So let me ask you, why are you still building terrain the same old way? Find out a new way to build terrain today on Tactical Terrain. Welcome back to another episode of Tactical Terrain. As always, my name's Eric. Again, we go back to the mailbag. Dear Tactical Terrain, Eric. I don't think this quite fits this email. Okay, guys, one of my closely guarded secrets is one of my other big hobbies, and that is I'm really into cooking. Matter of fact, I do most of the cooking for the family, and so I spend a lot of time right here. So that's why this technique is called the barbecue effect. Here's my lovely grill, and this is where I cook my meat, and you can see all kinds of action. So what I'm going to do is lift these grates out of the way and show you where all the excitement usually is when it comes to the grill. It's down there. You don't see it, do you? Let me move this out of the way. This is where the fire is. You can see all the pipes, and this is where all the gas ignites, creates this wonderful blue flame that dances around and gets everybody's attention. As I'm putting everything back into place, though, one of the things you want to be aware of is, yeah, this is where all the fun starts. This is why I call it the barbecue effect, in that all the cooking is actually being done up here, whereas we think about this, what if we put this across our table and we had all our miniatures going across the grating and you had all the flames and stuff underneath? Well, hopefully it wouldn't melt the models. So that brings us to plan B. So simulate the barbecue effect on the tabletop. What we got here is a smaller star field, something that can fit on camera here. And I resorted to child's play to make this as simple as possible to explain. Here we go, the all-time classic, Don't Break the Ice. So you can see here we've got a little bit of a platform, just like the grill portion of our barbecue. And I can get underneath where the fire was. In this case would be our star field, which the person who sent in the letter still wants this to be the focal point of their terrain. So what I do there is I put my little Terminator on top. And as you can see, he's got to be careful of some of those bigger holes. But for the most part, he could stand on top and we could play a game of 40K. Assuming this was, of course, 4 foot by 6 foot. You can also see through the holes. You can still see the star field and any other terrain pieces, or in this case, the fat mat, underneath. The key thing is to be careful of those larger holes, and that way, unless you want to count them as impassable terrain, but that's up to you. But pretty much that's the overall concept of creating what we saw on the barbecue. Here's another example, kind of themes into Gene Stealer cults. I understand that they're miners. You would be an asteroid. You're actually floating in space on an asteroid. So what I did was take ordinary pink foam. I used my plunge tool to cut out these little holes, and I went back with the bow tool to cut all those rocky scrapes to make it look like more rock. We're not going to get too much into panache today, so this a little black and a little gray dry brushing will look like rock. As you can see, still look underneath. I get my little Terminator out, and the key there is I've cut the holes small enough so that he can easily straddle with his base without falling through, but there are also enough holes where I can see through and still see the star field underneath. Real simple technique, and you can expand this out as big as 4 foot by 6 foot if you wanted to, or keep it small for individual terrain pieces. Another technique is that when it comes to science fiction in space, you have spaceships. Science fiction wouldn't be without spaceships. And the key with spaceship decks is usually grating, so you can see through underneath and have the Gene Stealers pop out, especially if you want to do a 3D Space Hulk type game. So what I have here is this particular grating, and I did get this at your local home improvement store, but most people look in like the welding area or maybe like screening. The key areas you want to look, well, you want to look up. This is actually found in the lighting section. Specifically, if you're doing like a home basement where they have ceiling tiles, these are the grating that they would put in the lighting fixtures. There's a couple other things there we'll talk about in a later episode. But the nice thing about this is simple hobby clippers would clip all these out, so you can add holes if you like that impassable terrain idea. plenty that are close enough together, so no danger of any small bases sliding through. And the good thing is it comes in 2-foot by 4-foot sections, so 3 sheets, and you can cover an entire 40K board. For a little added detail, you can either use plastic, stock, or cardboard like I've done here, and add some more decking details. A couple holes so you can still see through. The nice thing about this, unlike our foam model, is I really don't care how big these holes are with the cardboard because I have the grating underneath to make sure nothing falls through. I will warn you though that if you use those smaller D6s, they will slide through those, so you might roll them on the side or in a dice tray. For you Infinity players who are not particularly fond of the Grimdark, this time I did something similar, except I used plexiglass. I haven't quite finished this yet. This is actually my display board for Infinity, and I'm using painter's tape. I'm going to paint those center sections, so then when I remove the tape, you're going to have these clear sections. It's really great because it just takes the concept way farther in terms of being able to see the terrain below you. You can also use this in 40K as well. I think this would look great with some tau terrain. The nice thing is these plexiglass sections are pretty affordable and come in sizes as large as 11 by 17. Quick note, a lot of people like this idea and they immediately gravitate towards adding special effects like lighting. Bright light. This is a simple freebie from Harbor Freight. Now, one of the big mistakes a lot of amateurs do when it comes to lighting is they stick it underneath and go, look at me, woo, it's lighting. Small problem. You can still see the light bulbs through all the holes, so it kind of defeats the whole purpose of that it's an effect. It just looks like somebody left their flashlight underneath your terrain board. So if you notice that we've got all these holes, rather than putting your light bulbs where the holes can be seen, put it to the sides where these solid sections are. That way you still see the light, but don't see the light source. Lighting is cool, light source is bad. So here we go, we're going to put it on the side there. And I still get the cool glowy effect. It actually amplifies what would be the fat mat underneath. And you can't see the actual light bulb unless you really crane yourself. Plus you have easy access to change batteries. So you're in pretty good shape. Couple fat mat ideas. So here's the asteroid field. This obviously goes with what we're talking about here. Remember, with the new release of the Gene Stealer cults, these guys are supposed to be miners. Wouldn't it be cool if you're fighting off a Gene Stealer cult that are actually mining on a floating asteroid in space? Or you can pretend that you're in super deep space and you can use this particular fat mat. Use both the ideas, either the asteroid field or the ship deck, and you get the idea that you're fighting some sort of boarding action or, again, Space Hulk on a 3D level. Don't forget the lava field, very popular, and especially if you've moved all the separatist leaders to the Mustafar system, you can also use the same decking idea, or that they're mining, but there's lava fields underneath because you're closer to the core of the center of this particular planet. This is one of my favorites. People ask me all the time, what is the favorite terrain board that you ever did? I used something similar to this ocean field, and actually had the players fighting on an oil rig in the middle of the ocean. It was a really cool effect. Last but not least, this is the underhive. You can pretty much accentuate the feel of multiple layers by showing, hey, there's more activity underneath. If you're particularly adventurous, what you could do here is actually get like model train parts or conveyor belts from a toy construction and actually have them moving underneath your playing surface. Gives the added illusion of what's going on. Another thing I forgot to mention when it comes to lighting, if you really want to make it dark and make like strobe effects or welding effects, particularly works well with this particular fat mat, make sure that the sides are actually covered. Kind of think of it like a tray. That way you create shadow so your lights work great and you don't have to turn off the lights to get the full effect. Hope that was helpful, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Again for watching. Remember, as always, Frontline Gaming sells Games Workshop products at up to 25% off retail every day. You can also pick up some cheap models in our secondhand shop. Some of the gems are quite rare, and sometimes they're fully painted. All of this is available at www.frontlinegaming.org.